Shri Hari. Other invaluable topics. This section covers various invaluable topics that are generally useful for a spiritual seeker. These articles provide insights into knowing oneself, serving the world and attaining God and more. These sentiments and messages are as expressed in books and lectures by Swami Ramsukhdasji. A few future topics are listed below. The table on content on the left has the current list of published topics. Please click on link to view topic of interest. Future topics: association with truth. Satsang is essential attachment and aversion. How to give up. All are eligible for realization. Awakening of discrimination. Essence of Dharma. Glories of a saint. Meaning of the dust of saints. Lotus feet. Hoarding of wealth and its harm. Way to liberation. Who is ascetic? Why must we believe in God? Why embody soul, Jeev, returns again to this world. Ways of being freed from desire for pleasure and more. Agitations of the mind. You know both happiness and unhappiness. Only that one who is apart from the two can realize both. He who becomes one with either may remain eternally happy or he may remain eternally unhappy. But he who remains even-minded in happiness and in unhappiness, he can know both, that happiness and that sorrow. Happiness is separate and unhappiness is separate. And he that remains apart from both these can know them both. If we blend with them, then he will be unable to know both happiness and unhappiness. Rather we will know only one, the state in which we settle. Second point, while experiencing happiness you are the same one as while experiencing unhappiness. And it is only because you are the same one that you are able to experience them both separately. The one who experiences both happiness and sorrow separately is apart from happiness and unhappiness. Now when will you have separate experience of happiness and unhappiness? When you no longer remain established in nature, prakriti, and become established in self-swa. Samdikha Sukha Swastha, Gita 14:24. Nature is constantly changing. If you become established in it, then you will constantly undergo agitations and changes. But that agitation will never be in you, self. Even in a state of ignorance, these disturbances are not in you, and even in state of perfect knowledge, these disturbances are not in you. In yourself, Swarup, there were never any agitations, can never ever be any agitations. If there were agitations and disturbances, then they could never be wiped out. These agitations, disturbances and changes are happening in nature, prakriti. To experience yourself as being apart from nature, prakriti, is the essence of knowledge. It is to attain salvation. In reality you are apart from nature, prakriti. To understand this point, you please have mercy on me. Please pay a little attention. You are not the one to come and go. It is the subject of the sense organs to give happiness and sorrow through favorable and unfavorable situations. They come and go and they are not permanent. Therefore you endure them. Matra sparsharstu konta shidashna sukhadukha agama payananitya stanstitik shasvabarat. Gita 2:14, from Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu, Vikrapmeen Naganhai, pg 731 by Swami Ramsukhdasji. Bondage. How to be released from bondage. Bandhan Shooks. People have simply accepted the belief that bondage is forever, and release from it one attains liberation. In essence, this is where the mistake lies. In reality, there is no bondage at all. If there is bondage, then there would not be any liberation of anyone. Because there is no non-existence of the real. Nabhavo Vidhyate Sada, Gita 2:16. If bondage were real, then its non-existence would not be there at all. Therefore there is no bondage. We only perceive it as being there. In the mirror we also see our reflection. Then why do you not grab it from the front? But since it does not exist at all, then what is there to grab? In the same ways, in these worldly things, there appears to be mineness. This wealth, this body, the family members, possessions, glories, etc. is mine. It so appears. But were they yours 100 years back? And will they remain yours after another 100 years? This mineness was not there in the beginning, and will not be there in the end, and in the middle too. It is daily getting wiped out. Then how is it real? In the mirror, first too there was not a face, in the end too there will not be a face. Then at present what is seen, it appears to be so, but it is not there. That which is every moment moving towards not existence, how can it be existing? That which is not there is not. You have believed it to be there is. If you leave the belief that that which is not there is not is there is, then you will be naturally liberated. Before there was no mineness and there was freedom, later there will be no mineness, therefore only freedom will remain, and in the middle this mineness is leaving constantly, therefore we are moving towards freedom. Therefore bondage is only something we have accepted, whereas freedom is innate and natural. Now where is the delay in this? Tell me. If you have accepted that this bondage will not break off, then this bondage will definitely not break away, because you are a part of Paramatma. If you firmly believe in the bondage, then it will definitely not leave you. You have accepted that bondage is there at present, and freedom is there somewhere in the distance, and will happen later on. Now how can that bondage leave you? In reality, there was no bondage even in the beginning, and there will not be even later on, and it is not there right now. That liberation was always there in the beginning, will remain so in the end, and is there in the present. See, each person has immense love for his mother. Now is that love there even today? This love too is like a sample of worldly love. When you are trading in good, you first look at the sample and make a decision. From the sample you get to know the total product. The wife is mine, the son is mine, the wealth is mine, the house is mine. These all appear to be sweet. Then in childhood, was the mother less sweet or what? You were unable to stay without your mother. You would cry, and on climbing into her lap, you would become happy, feeling I have found my mother. But is that same loving feeling with the mother today? Like that, there are many fortunate ones whose mother is present today, but the attraction that was there for the mother is not there now. With this sample, the entire world's lesson is learned, that for which we have attraction today, that too will not remain. Question. Maharaji. Our attraction and fondness for mother, father, then wife, then son and daughter, then grandchildren, etc. In this manner this attraction remain here and here only in worldly things. Swamiji. Then do not develop new fondness, my dear. The old fondness are leaving. Liberation is around the corner. Question. We do not desire to engage in new relations. Swamiji. If you do not desire to engage in new relations, then am I or someone else forcing you into them? Who is putting pressure on you? Say. The old affections will leave. Now simple, don't engage in new affections. Are you still a child? From stage of childhood you have become liberated, haven't you? This liberation is taking place on its own because we are liberated. There is no bondage at all. You have held on to bondage. If you keep holding on and keeping it next to you, then it will remain. But if you leave it, it will go away. If you do not leave it, it will not go away. The easy way to be released from this bondage is that which you see as your own. Serve them, and do not desire any service from them. I had shared 2 points with you earlier, that their want is based on righteousness, fairness, and you have the strength, the ability and the thing to fulfill that want, then fulfill it. Even your own good desires do not have them. Such as, my son should serve me, even though this is a fair desire, then too, do not hold on to it. In this manner, do not desire service from others and simply continue to serve others, then you will attain salvation. But if you continue to desire service from others, then you cannot attain salvation, and the other will not even serve you. On desiring service, the other will not serve, but on not desiring service, the other will serve, and in your service itself there will not be a loss. If you have money, clothes, food, etc., do you feel like giving to an ascetic? Do you desire to give to one who does not want from you, or one who wants from you? You only want to give to one who does not want to take. If you desire nothing from the world, then the world will give you a lot of happiness. You will not have a shortage of happiness. There will be no shortages. He who does not desire anything, everyone wants to give him, then how will he have a shortage of happiness? The shortage is when one desires happiness. Even respect and greatness is given to those who do not desire any. Then by desiring, why should we become a beggar and a sufferer? Question. From time immemorial the attachment and affection that we have developed, how can these be wiped off? Swamiji. Even though darkness has been there from time immemorial, simply by lighting a lamp, the darkness vanishes. In some cave, even though it is dark for 1,000,000 years, but by going there and lighting a lamp, the darkness will not say to you that it has been in the cave for so many years, and therefore it will not leave quickly. When the light of the lamp illumes, the darkness automatically disappears. Similarly, the mistakes, the erroneous thinking, etc., are the kind that will go away, will be rid of. The way to get rid of attachment is, there is nothing to take. This is Karma Yoga, path of action. We have no relation with the world at all. This is Jnana Yoga, path of knowledge, and only God is mine. This is Bhakti Yoga, path of devotion. My relationship is with the world is mine, and is for me. This is Jnana Maran Yoga, path of birth and death, or yoga of bondage. Time and again to be born and later to die. Now in whatever path you see again, you pursue and achieve. Your relationship with Paramatma is innate and natural, and the relationship with the world is one that you have accepted. However much of a relationship you develop with the world, it will not last. That which does not last, leave it from the beginning. Bali Sachi Sajan Jaina Divijagat Ko Puth Pichi Daki Bigadati Pehul Batharuth. That which will get ruined later on, leave it from the beginning. If one leaves their family with a true heart and becomes an ascetic, then if all in the family die at the same time or the family size increases anywhere from 2-50 people, then it will make no difference. However, if in the family one person dies and he begins to cry, then that ascetic has only taken a white cloth and spoiled it with dirt. Just like an ascetic dies in the eyes of his family, in the same way you too die from all, then salvation, freedom, will be attained. On dying itself, you will become immortal. The moment you die from the world, you become immortal. While living itself, die. It has come in the writing of saints. Ari Manaji Vatdohai Mare. From today itself die. All work will become alright. If you die from the family members, then their misery will also go away. Neither the third lunar, nor the 12th day will need to be enforced, nor any other festivities, nor any expenses. All miseries will end. The people in your household will also be delighted and you too will be thrilled. Bhagwan, the scriptures and saints, their grace is upon you from eternity. Now it is on you to have mercy by accepting this grace, then you will be totally gratified. If you do not imbibe in the grace, then his grace that is flowing will simply remain there and be of no use. That which you have held on to, leave it, then you will be freed. Now you leave the family members and grab hold of Guru and say, he is my Guruji, this is my Guru brother, this is my uncle Guru, this is my nephew disciple. You left one and grabbed hold of another, then there will be no liberation. Just as is, you will remain entangled and trapped. I had met a Saadhu, ascetic. He said that his Guru gave his the knowledge that he should leave his family, then I left the Guruji as well. Now there is no Guru, no disciple, no uncle Guru, no nephew disciple. First from householder became a Saadhu, ascetic, but now from the Saadhu also I have become a true renunciate. Do not consider the family as yours and do not desire anything from them. Only have this relationship with your family. Whatever you have in terms of money, abilities, time, dedicate it to their service. By this all family members will become happy and you will be liberated. Previous relations, serve them and leave them, and do not establish and engage in new relations, then you will remain free. What else will remain besides freedom? From Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu in Hindi PG. 703 by Swami Ramsukhdasji. Divine demoniac traits in Sri Gita. It is said, Devi Sampadvimoksha Nibandha Sri Mata. Divine traits are for salvation, whereas demoniac traits are for bondage. In this verse, divine does not point to devta, demigod. Instead it points to Paramatma, Bhagwan, God. Traits belonging to Bhagwan, God, are themselves divine. Just like, from worldly wealth, we can get worldly things, similarly divine traits can make one attain Paramatma. In Gita 16:1-3, there are 26 divine properties, traits, qualities. We must try to bring these traits, properties, in ourselves. There are two kinds of people in this world, one kind that gives importance to noble conduct and good character. The other kind, that gives primary importance to worship of Bhagwan and relationship with Bhagwan. The first category says that where is the need for the relationship with God, for the worship of God, the character and conduct should be proper, as that is most important and only these attain respect in this world. But those that belong to second category, that take shelter of Bhagwan, they naturally possess Bhagwan's divine traits. They don't have to make any special effort to cultivate them. Those who in spite of devotion and worship of Bhagwan, if these divine traits are few and far between in them, then it means that their aim is not Bhagwan, God, but worldly enjoyments and material possessions. Without Bhagwan it is very difficult to cultivate any goodness, good conduct and good inner expressions. Because if the source, Paramatma, is not present, then who will they depend on? God is the root of the tree with goodness as its branches. Without root how will the branches survive? Therefore at all times remember Bhagwan. Make it a point to definitely remember God at the beginning and end of every work, action, you do. While working if you don't remember God, then there is no harm. Because at that time due to being engrossed in that activity, neither Paramatma is remembered, nor the world. The natural tendencies are only engaged in that activity. But at the completion of that activity, remember Bhagwan. By doing so, all work will become Bhagwan's work. If you carefully remember God at beginning and end of every activity, then all your work will become God's worship. By thinking of God, taking his shelter, goodness automatically manifests. We don't even come to know and they flourish in us. Lord Ram said to Shabari in the forest, Navdha Bhagati Kahanto hi pahi. Saadhan Sanu Dharumanam hi, I will tell you the ninefold devotion. Listen to it carefully and hold on to them. Then after describing all kinds of devotion, Lord says Sakal Prakar Bhagati Dradtor, every kind of devotion is firmly rooted in you. Just now Lord enjoined Shabari to listen and apply the ninefold devotion, and now he says every kind of devotion is firmly rooted in you. Then earlier why did he say to hold on, to assume, to acquire these traits? By constantly following, by implicit reliance, firmness, steadfastness, unyielding strength and direction develops. It implies that Shabari's life is molded in the ninefold devotion, but she is unaware of ninefold devotion steps. She is a constant worshipper and devotee, but not one who gives spiritual discourses. Innately and naturally, devotion and worship has come in her. By remembering Bhagwan and reciting his name, all divine traits come naturally, without any invitation, unknowingly. Therefore, the first thing in divine traits is remembering Bhagwan, surrendering to him, taking his shelter, living always happily in his kingdom, believing everything to be his grace, depending on him alone, and remaining full of enthusiasm at all times. Whatever situations you encounter, believe it to be a product of God's immense grace. There are 3 obstacles in doing so, which one must give up: desire, anger and greed. I want this, I want that. This is called desire, calm. When this desire of hoarding increases manifold, it is called greed, lobh. And when anyone creates a roadblocks in fulfilling these desires, it leads to anger, krodh. Vacate yourself of these 3 demoniac traits. Relinquish these 3, to make way for divine traits in you. The bottom line is, always remember God. In Gita 7:15 and Gita 9:11-12, Bhagwan said, people having demoniac and vile nature do not adore me, rather they despise me. Whereas in Gita 9:13-14, he said, the great souls who have adopted divine nature, knowing me as prime source and immortal, always worship me with love and single-minded devotion. To distinguish between these 2 traits, God explained Gita, chapter 16. By taking God's support, all divine endowments come in us automatically and naturally. Jimmy Sajan Sajan Pahinava. By God's worship and devotion, the greatest and best of all qualities and traits will come naturally and automatically. Do every work enthusiastically, being dependent on Him, Bhagwan's hand above your head, believing it as being ordained by Him, believing in His blessings, remain ever happy and joyful, on cloud 9. This itself is worship, bhajan. Then all goodness will automatically manifest in you. For Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu, Devi Sampada Aur Sri Sampada PG. 534 in Hindi by Swami Ramukhdasji Maharaj. Sabbat Jan Bhuyavaguna Karkyanchut Kusalat Kurdipak Kuni paid. At present time such terrible and fearsome sins are taking place that simply by listening one's hair stands on end, eyes become filled with tears, and heart is deeply moved. Ram Ram Ram, what terrible injustice, what fearsome sins are taking place, but your attention is not going there at all. Human body is said to be the rarest of all forms of life. Durlabho Manashyo Deho Dehanam Shunabhangara. Srimad Bhagavat 11-29. Lab Vasudar Labmadam Bahu Sambhanti. Manashya Marthdam Nityam Pidira. Srimad Bhagavat 11-9-29. Bade Bhag Manashya Tanupava. Sir Durlab Sab Granthhigava. Mana 743-7. Such a rare form of birth in human body is being destroyed at the very beginning. It is being cut up along with the jeev, and this is such a great offense. It is such injustice. It is a terrible sin. My mind feels immense pain. It is feeling great distress, but what to do? The human body by which one can realize God, to not allow that human body to even be born, and to destroy it, it is the ultimate sin. To not allow some soul the opportunity to receive a human body, to not allow that human body to even be born, to take medication from the beginning and destroy it through abortion or any other means. One has stooped so low, not only to think about going to hell themselves, but at the same time not even allowing another soul the opportunity for elevating, for benediction. Now what is one to do? Who to share this with? And who will listen to my point? Is there no one listening? For ascetics it has been written in the scriptures to not travel much during Chaturmas, 4 months in a year during the rains. Because during these months, due to the rains, every seed grows into a sapling, which later grows into a tree. By extensive traveling, walking, these seedlings come under the feet and are destroyed. Therefore during these 4 months, the ascetics do not walk and roam around much, so that unknowingly no violence is done to any life form. In Bhagavad it has been said that if you wish to gain victory over violence, then reduce the movement of the body. Hinsakadhyaniha. Bhagavad 7:15-23. When there is so much thought put into non-violence around immovable things, then what to speak on the subject of movable beings? But nowadays, the best of all movable life forms, better than even the devatas, the human body, is being contemplated for destruction. What a state of affairs we are in. From Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu pg 946 in Hindi by Swami Ramsukhdasji. Hindu spirituality addresses the benediction, the betterment of all of mankind, and all beings. The Hindu culture is only for the salvation of all of mankind. By destroying a jiva, embodied soul, preventing it from living from the very onset is a great offense. The surprising thing is that this sin is now being considered as a socially civilized state of affairs. The implication of this is that it is the fastest route to hell. One wants to suffer in the most terrible and worst of worst hell. Think. Preventing anyone's betterment, benediction, can it be a virtue? If someone wants to become wealthy, to prevent him from becoming rich, is that a good thing? If someone wants to become righteous and spiritual, then to not allow him to become righteous, is that just? If someone wants to attain salvation, to not let him attain salvation, is that fairness? If someone wants to be healthy, to not allow him to become strong and healthy, is this virtuous? To end someone's life for our little convenience and happiness, is it not unjust? To not allow the birth of someone who could have had an opportunity to walk the path towards God realization is simply unjust and atrocious. Oh, benefactor, oh, master, knowingly do not incur this horrible sin. Have at least that much mercy. I am the child of yours. You have raised me, and at present too, you alone are supporting me. You all are my father and my mother. Have a little mercy, whereby you do not engage in such terrible sins. It has been said in the Prashar Smriti, Yat Papam Brahmahatyad Vigunam Garbhapatan Prayashchitam Ni Tasyasti Tatsyasyago Vidayat. Gita 4:20. The sin that accrues from abortion is double that which is incurred from killing a Brahmin, Brahmahatya. This great sin in the form of abortion has no penance, no atonement, no remorse. If few children are desired, then practice celibacy. We encourage this practice as one will not incur sin, and in fact the body will be free of disease. It will be healthy and strong. But instead to destroy the body and at the same time to not allow a child to be born is such a shameful thing. It is such a sorrowful thing. Shruyatam dharma sarvasyam shrutvachevavadryatam atmana pratiklani pershan nisamakarate. Listen to the entire essence of the Dharma, righteousness, and after listening, hold on to it. That which is unfavorable to us, do not do to others. If someone stops our progress, if they stop our birth, they stop our growth, they stop our learning, they stop us from worshipping and meditating on God, if they stop us from meeting our beloved, will they incur sin or will they incur virtues? Think a little bit. Some soul, when it is coming in the form of a human birth, by placing roadblocks in this process and not even giving it an opportunity to be born, is a terrible sin. Yes. If follow the practices of celibacy, then our body too will be healthy and there will not be any sin that will be incurred. But instead we want to enjoy sense pleasures, destroy the body, and will not let any children be born. This is a terrible thing leading to one's downfall. From Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu pg 946-947 in Hindi by Swami Ramsukhdasji. Discrimination. Importance of discrimination. Vivek. Human body is Vivek prominent. Discrimination. Vivek means to know what is essence and what is not. Sar and asar, duty and non-duty properly. Man does not use this Vivek, does not value it, that is why he is suffering. If he accepts his Vivek and conducts his life accordingly, then he will be greatly gratified and also gratify others. Scriptures, saints, guru, mother, father, etc. are to awaken this Vivek. They are responsible for waking this and they do it. There is an important thing to know from Vivek. Concentrate on that. From ordinary viewpoint, money seems to be a big thing, and it is. Because everything is bought from money. We buy a lot of things with money and our work is carried out. Because of this, money seems to be very important for sustaining life. The life that we are living, we adore it a lot. Even a sorrowful man doesn't want to die. So for living, food stuff, water, clothes, etc. are used. Our life may be sustained. Our life force, pran, remains intact. We remain healthy. We become educated. For all these things are essential. For those things only, money is required. For money there is no need of things. Yes, money can be made out of things. But things are very superior to money, by which our life is sustained. Money is used in give and take of food, stuff, clothes, etc. So money is not directly required for sustaining life, but things are required. So things are more valuable than money. Even important than things are living species, humans, animals, birds, trees. They are very useful. By nurturing them, we get things that are required in our daily life. So those through whom life is sustained, those species are great. In living species also, cow is very great because cow's body is very pure and useful. Even her cow dung urine is pure and the dust flying from her hooves is also pure. In all religious rituals, cow's milk, curd, ghee, cow dung and urine is used. The milk of cow is more pure, sattvic, than that of buffalo, etc., and other animals. Those who drive car know that hearing a horn, cow takes the footpath, whereas buffalo remains standing on road. Hence, buffalo's milk is not pure, sattvic, and makes the intellect gross. Even being so useful and pure, cow does not have ability to attain Paramatma Tattva God element. This ability is only in humans. Hence a human is greatest in all the living species. All other living beings, they reap the fruit of their previous karmas and by bearing them they get purified. But in human, there are two things. One is to reap fruits of old sins, virtues, and work for redemption. To enjoy favorable and unfavorable circumstances and to get happy, sad is also available in animals. To derive happiness and to get rid of sorrow, animals also make efforts according to their intellect. But what will happen in future? Animals and birds are not capable to think over this, but a human is. Human is vivek prominent, predominance of discrimination. So where my benefit lies and where my harm lies, what will lead me to progress and what will lead me to downfall, what is to be taken and what is to be forbidden, what is everlasting and what is transitory. Only human is capable to know all this, not an animal bird. So even in humans, vivek is valuable. Those who alter their conduct according to vivek, they are great in human beings. Vivek is great, so humans taking its support and conducting according to it are also great. Vivek is for what? Vivek is there so that man does good work and not bad, take the essence, sar, and gives up the non-essence, asar. Do such thing that in present and in future, ours and others, everyone gets happiness. Vivek is primarily awakened in dispassionate humans. Attached and pleasure seekers are not wise. They only look at present, whereas dispassionate men look at future consequence. When human starts giving more importance to things and money, then his vivek is burked. Lord has described three kinds of intellect in Gita: sattvic, rajasi, tamasi. That intellect which correctly determines the path of activity and renunciation, what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is fear and what is frivolousness, and what is bondage and what is liberation. That intellect is sattvika. Gita 18.30. The intellect by which man does not truly perceive what is dharma and what is adharma, what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, that intellect is rajasika. Gita 18.31. The intellect which considers even adharma to be dharma and sees all other things upside down, wrapped in ignorance, that intellect is tamasika. Gita 18.32. Sattvic intellect is in few humans. This does not mean that others do not possess sattvic intellect. People who utilize sattvic intellect appropriately are few in number. Many people have rajasi intellect. People possessing tamasi intellect are even more in this Kali Yuga. Everything looks upside down to them. What is meant by upside down outlook? Giving more value to money than things and living beings. They only hoard money. For money, if they have to lie, deceive, rob, kill, murder, etc., then they even get ready to do it. For money they start killing cows. This is an absolute tamasi intellect. Earning money and protecting it is not tamasi intellect, but not to think over true lies, real and real, everlasting, transitory, good use, misuse, benefit, harm, etc., and to make money by hook or crook is tamasi intellect. After this, what will happen? Importance of money will increase. Then money will not be for things but for increasing its count. Things will also become a source for increasing its count. If 1,000 comes then million, if million comes then billion, if billion comes then trillion. In this manner the desire will keep on increasing. They don't even think that by earning so much money what are going to do. Neither do they think of good conduct, nor do they think of people, nor do they think of things. Only one thing that they think of is to make money and hoard it. By so much hoarding others are getting poor. They don't even look at it. Even if a sattvic human has less amount of money, he benefits others and he himself is also benefited. But by a tamas human, he himself and others are ruined, even if he has a lot of money. To spend money and to hoard money, these are two parts. In this only part of spending money is useful for self and others. Hoarding inflates ego in us that ruins both society and us. In society, poverty, conflict, jealousy, hatred, robbery, etc. increases, which is a cause of society's ruin. Whatever evil characteristics conduct are there, they all come from the viewpoint of increasing count of money. A person considers himself to be great because of money, but in people's heart he doesn't hold any respect. At the bottom of their heart they all disrespect and malign him. Being subdued by money, others don't say anything. This is different, but they don't have any good sentiments for him. But a Viveki, one who discriminates, dispassionate human, is respected by world heartily. Even greater than Vivek is Dharma and truth element. Those who follow the righteous path, they are elevated. Everyone respects them who walk on the path of truth. Ordinary people also respect him, rich people also respect him, kings also respect him, saints also respect him, and what more to say, those who walk toward the truth, even God respects him. So truth turns out to be the greatest. For that truth only Vivek is, for that Vivek only human is, for a human only thing is, and for things only money is. Human is Vivek prominent. So it is very important for him give respect to Vivek, give value to it, and whatever is greater than Vivek, if he spends time on attaining it, then he won't have to see sorrow even after death. Money, things, people, etc. all will remain here only, will not be carried, but Dharma and truth element will not remain behind. By attaining the truth element, one will be at peace forever. Attaining that truth element is the most important aim goal of human life. If one does not attain it, then his life is not successful. Eating, drinking, resting, enjoying pleasures, etc. even dogs, pigs, donkeys do. There isn't any great glory in it. Great glory is only in attaining God element, in which ours and worlds, in present and future, everyone's benefit lies. Like Goswami Tulsidasji, there have been many great Mahatmas. They did their redemption and also redeemed world. By their words today also the world benefits, escapes from downfall, gets peace, comes to know about the path to truth. Such kind of welfare even the richest of rich can never do. So the main aim should of attaining truth. When money also turns to truth, thing also turns to truth, human also turns to truth, and Vivek also turns to truth, then progress will happen. If no heed is given to truth but to perishable things, and more than things, if importance is given to making and hoarding of money, then only ruin will happen. Intellectuals have more influence on society. So it is their duty to give importance to Vivek and spend their life in attaining truth element. From Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu pg 674-675 in Hindi by Swami Ramsukhdasji. Faith vs. self-inquiry. Human birth is received only for liberation. We never look to ourselves as to why we were born. What do we want? What are we doing? As long as we is not attentive to these things, till that time, our position, please forgive me for saying this, is lower than that of an animal. Our life is lower than that of animals, birds, trees, etc. If after being a man, if there is not that alertness, that where are we really men? A man must have the alertness and a quest to know, why was I born? What should I do? And what should I not do? If this understanding does not come on its own, then so be it. But from the messages of the saints and scriptures, one can understand entirely that human birth is received only for one's liberation. From God's side, he has already given this as the last birth, through which he can be realized. Brahmaji, through various sacrifices, yagna, he manifests creation. Sahyajya prasratavapurovach pragapati, Gita 3:10. In other words, duty and the doer, they both manifested at the same time. That which is duty is innate. Today, the difficulty and effort we experience in doing our duty is due to developing an affinity with the world. By itself the doer is also innate, and the duties are also innate and natural. Man himself makes them unnatural. The thought does not arise that why did he create this unnaturalness? How did he do that? If he inquires into this, then benefits are certain. Now I will share with you one thing. There are two paths, one the path of Vishwas, faith and belief, and another the path of Jigyasa, quest for knowledge. Faith and belief is in that which one has no doubt at all, where there is not even the slightest possibility of a doubt arising. That faith that is free of all doubts does not arise in the form of belief and faith from the onset. Rather, inquiry is on those things where there is some element of doubt. In path of devotion, bhakti marg, faith and belief that is free of all doubts is primary, and in the path of jnana, knowledge, inquiry into the truth, some doubt and certainty is paramount. By combining faith and inquiry, ascetics, spiritual aspirants, life does not remain pure, it become impure. In what do we have faith? in that which we have no knowledge of with our sense organs and inner faculties, in that we may or may not have faith. There are only 2 points, either you have faith, or you don't have faith. Whether God exists or not, this point is not one of belief, it is one of an inquiring seeker. Belief in Paramatma lasts whether Paramatma, God, exists or not. This point is not one of belief, it is one of inquiry. Whether Paramatma, God, Supreme Consciousness, is or not, this doubt exists in an embodied soul, Jivatma, and in the world. There is no doubt in I am. But what am I? There is a doubt there. In other words, quest, inquiry, for knowledge arises when there is existence of doubt. The knowledge of the self and of the world comes from inquiry. You are entirely independent in believing or disbelieving in Paramatma, Supreme Consciousness. Because regarding the subject of Paramatma, God, we know absolutely nothing, and that which we know nothing about, in that only faith is the driver, and that which we have faith in that there is no doubt remaining at all. Such an extraordinary point this is. Just like when we consider the wife, son, etc., to be our very own, then there is no doubt remaining whether this wife is my own or not, son is mine or not. These worldly beliefs do not last, because the belief is of things that are perishable. But Paramatma, Supreme Consciousness, is imperishable, eternal. Therefore belief in Paramatma lasts. And when this belief is firmed up, then Paramatma is realized. We have heard from the saints that when one believes in Bhagwan, God, then the responsibility of him understanding his true self, nature, lies with Bhagwan, God. What an amazing point this is. How is Bhagwan? How is he not? He does not have to gain that knowledge by himself. He simply accepts that Bhagwan, God, is. How is Bhagwan and how is he not? Such doubts do not arise in him at all. At first, if we simply accept the existence of Bhagwan, God, is, then there will be faith in Bhagwan. Faith in worldly matters does not last, because objects and people, etc., were not there in the beginning and will not remain in the end, and at this moment are moving towards perishing. But on the subject of Bhagwan, it does not happen so. Because from the scriptures, the saints, and the believers we have heard that Bhagwan, God, was there in the beginning, will remain later, and is there at present as well. Once faith is established in Bhagwan, God, then there is a sense of belonging that Bhagwan, God, is mine. This embodied soul is a part of Bhagwan, God. Mamavancho Jivalok, Gita 15:7, i.e. Bhagwan is ours. Therefore those that have an inner feeling of the existence of Bhagwan must accept that Bhagwan, God, is and he is mine. On having this firm belief, then one cannot stay without meeting Bhagwan, God. Just like when a child experiences sorrow, then he longs to meet his mother, and he wonders why mother will not take him in her lap. In his mind there is no thought whether he deserves or not, whether he is the proper recipient of her love or not. Just as one has faith in Bhagwan, God, similarly there is also faith in the relationship with Bhagwan, God, that he is mine. Here there is no talk of how is God, and how am I. God is mine, therefore I will definitely meet him. One must have a firm belief in that. This feeling of mineness is greater than many other important spiritual practices. Sacrifice, austerities, fasting, worship, forbearance, etc. However many other spiritual practices there are, of all of them, the highest among them is this feeling of my very own with God. In this mindness there is never any ambiguity. Those who are going to do will according to the actions receive the appropriate fruit, but he who believes God to be his very own will attain God entirely and completely for free. As much as the doers will do, they will receive only that much fruit, but on having mindness with Bhagwan, God, they will receive complete right and entitlement over Bhagwan, God. Just like a child believes he has complete rights over his mother, that mother is mine, I will be able to get whatever work I want done out of my mother, I will take whatever I want from her. What strength does the child have? All he can do is cry, that is the extent of his strength. Even the weakest of the weakest man has only the strength of crying. How much effort is required in crying? When child begins to cry, the mother has to listen to him. In the same manner, if we begin to cry saying, Bhagwan is mine, then why will he not give his appearance, viewing, seeing? Why does Bhagwan not meet with me? When there is an intense longing within, when there is such a tormenting desire that why is God not meeting me? In this intense longing, in the tormenting desire there is so much strength that sins of infinite years can be wiped out. No faults will remain. Faultlessness will ensue. One who becomes restless for God, their faultlessness happens entirely and they attain the essential element, tattva. As long as there remains the feeling that I am an seeker, inquirer, this sense of I-ness remains and it prevents one from attaining that essence. When this I-ness does not remain, then that essence is realized. Whether it quest for knowledge or whether it be faith, if among the two, if only one point becomes firm, then that essence will be realized. Duties will be fulfilled on their own. Even from inquiry, one's duties are fulfilled, and through deep faith also duties are fulfilled. Both an inquirer and a man of faith will be able to fulfill his obligations quickly. A man of faith will not fulfill his obligations from the perspective of duties, but he cries due to his separation from Bhagwan, God. In simply crying, his duties are exhausted. In him there remains an intense longing for God realization. He only remembers God and only God. Besides God, nothing else is attractive. Abkuch by Nagan Suhav Ektuhai Mana Bhav. During day there is no hunger, at night there is no sleep. Time and time again there is that intense longing. Din Nagan Bok, Rain Nagan Nidra, Chin Chin Vyakal Hatya. In this longing there is immense strength. Doing worship and remembrance, doing austerities and sacrifices, visiting holy places and fasting, etc. These are all good, but these slowly get rid of sins. But on having intense longing for God, it is like catching fire, where all sins are burned away and turned to ashes. All that is seen will not remain. Question: how do I develop the intense longing for God that you speak of? Swamiji, do not take happiness from world, happiness born of contact. Just like breath goes on, and in the process of this activity, one also develops hunger and thirst on its own. But during the day, if you continue to eat various different things, then true hunger will not take place. On the other hand, if you stop munching in between and eat nothing else besides meals, then hunger will come automatically, and the hunger will come on strong. In the same manner, if you desire only God, besides God, you do not desire anything else. You do not desire happiness, respect, greatness, recognition, luxury and rest, laziness, etc. If there is no desire of any sort. If you take no happiness from anything, if you are hungry then eat, if you feel sleepy then you must sleep, but one is not to take pleasure in it. If you are keep such temperance, abstention and moderation in mind, then longing for God will come. Jeev, embodied soul, engages in and takes the support of something or the other that is perishable, unreal, by which he becomes distant from the real, sat, eternal. In other words, utilize the unreal, perishable, eat, drink, sleep, do all the work, but within do not depend, trust or take support or emotional shelter, then intense longing for God will manifest from within. We all have vivid, perceptible and clear knowledge of this point, that this body will not remain, this wealth and possessions will not remain, this family will not remain, all that is seen, all of it will not remain. In spite of knowing this, we disrespect this knowledge. This is a very serious fault, a defect, it is a very bad mistake. If you respect this knowledge, then all worldly desires will vanish. Because those things that are not stable, perishing constantly, why desire it? Kagamangu Kuchthrani Rahai, Dekatnain Chalio Jagjai. The moment worldly desires are wiped out, the anguish, the suffering resulting from separation, viraha, from God will come desire for the world, and hope from it in itself is the one that prevents the anguish of separation from God. From Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu PG 707 in Hindi by Swami Ramsukhdasji. Firm resolve. Benefit from firm resolve. Question: when worldly pleasures don't come in front of us, till then we are of a firm sentiment that we will not get entangled in worldly pleasures. But when pleasures come in front of us we become weak. What should we do? Swamiji, very beautiful question. The sentiment, to not succumb to sense enjoyments and worldly pleasures, boga, is verily a rare thing, a very valuable thing. Sundering ties with the world and awakening our relationship with Bhagwan, this is real humanity. In reality, when we look more closely, we do not have a relationship, adjoined, with the world, whereas our relationship with Bhagwan is unbreakable. We become one with the world and separate from Bhagwan. This is just impossible. We don't have this power to separate ourselves from Bhagwan, and although being almighty, Bhagwan does not have the power to break away from us. The truth is that our relationship is not with this world, and our relationship is with Bhagwan. Whatever is not, just break it, and whatever is, just awaken it. This is our main work. Till the objects do not come in front of us, till then our mind remains firm that we will not be tangled in sense pleasures. Boga, if you have grasped this much also, then this is indeed a thing to rejoice. Not to desire pleasures is a very eminent attitude, not an ordinary one. even the slightest desire is there to renounce the world and to attain God, then the outcome, fruit, of this will not be perishable, but it will indeed give only imperishable fruit, salvation. Swalpamasya dharmasya trait maghatobat, even a little practice of this discipline, equanimity, saves one from the terrible fear of birth and death. Gita 2.40. Getting millions and billions of dollars is nothing compared to this. Getting kingdom of 3 worlds, then to its value is not even that of a hair, because all this is perishable. When things come in front of us we fall from our place. Why is this? Is our state that after thinking and rethinking we leave it? Such bad habits we have formed. After hearing satsang, reading books we contemplate that we will do this only, then we again leave it. This is also applicable even for trivial things, that we leave them. This habit is what makes you weak. If it had been your habit that, if you leave it then just leave it, and if you hold on to anything then just hold on to it, then you wouldn't have been in such a sorrowful state. Please forgive me, you may not feel offended. This is a very pitiable state. Whatever thing you decide to do, you don't remain firm on that. Things and hoarding do not have much badness as your habits have. If you are not firm then in whatever field you go you will not progress. Bad habits are causing great harm. If you remain firm on one thing then you will be gratified. Bhagwan is mine, then whatever happens, only Bhagwan is mine. World is not mine, then it is not mine at all. Question. When worldly pleasures don't come in front of us, till then we are of a firm sentiment that we will not get entangled in worldly pleasures. But when pleasures come in front of us we become weak. What should we do? If you want to speak truth then make a solid decision that from today I will speak truth only. I will never ever lie. In this be unshakably firm. I will not tell a lie, and not on. I will speak the truth. Renunciation is of great glory and great importance. Come what may, I will never lie. If prestige dwindles, fame and honor sinks low, if riches flee, losses to any extent fall in my way, yet I will never lie. If you become weak at the moment when there is an opportunity to speak the truth, when you do not have the courage to speak the truth, then you may relax only to the extent that you may not tell a lie. Be mum. Tell the other person that everything is not to be shared with all, therefore, I will not share with you. When we are not able to tell the truth, we don't have any plan to disclose the whole matter. We don't have any intention to convey the whole matter, then just walk off by telling that I have some work. Work is that we don't want to disclose. By doing this we will not lie. This oath of yours will come to true. The method thus shown to you can be practiced, and which you can do. If you have once decided on something, remain firm on it. Never kill the idea. Slaying our thoughts ideas again and again will cause birth and death. So remain firm on it that let things come in front of us. We will not falter. We will not lick our own spit. By remaining solid on our ideas, strength will be generated within. A power will descend. Then you will not suffer from such a plight. Even if people call you a coward, abuse or denounce you, don't worry about that. We have to remain firm on our decisions. However you are, I will tell you the simplest practice, but it is you who has to hold on to it. I will tell you very simple, very easy practice, and I will also make you accept it that we can do this practice and benefit from it. You just prepare yourself, and then our work will be done. The reason is that we have got this human body only for God realization, Paramatma Prapti. If we will not get Paramatma, then what will we get? World can never be attained. It is just an illusion that we have money, we have family. Everything will perish, then what have you got? We can never get this world and we can never separate from Bhagwan. This is an absolute true fact. We will not harm anyone. We will never cause sorrow to anyone. Be firm on this. This thing looks very ordinary, but it has great glory. Its greatness is no way less than worship, meditation, chanting, etc. This is a very pricey thing, but people do not give attention to this. They just ignore it and leave it as it is. After an illness is cured we start feeling hungry, and after taking meals immunity, power, starts coming in our body. When the digestive system is in stable condition, then eating anything half-cooked will generate stamina. Similarly, if you stay firm on your decisions then a power will come in you. So remain firm on your decision that I will never ever lie, whatever may happen. I will not manipulate. Don't be afraid of that others will get insulted. Nonetheless, if you deceive by speaking lies then you will bear great insult. By not deceiving you will get respect. If you manipulate then you will fall from good people's heart that this man is of no use. You will also fall from Thakurji's, Bhagwan, heart. So don't try to be too smart, just say as it is. By telling the straight clean truth, is anyone going to hang you? Doing this is not a tough thing. On firm aim of salvation this becomes easy. In beginning, one is a bit fearful, but later this fear steadily evaporates. If anyone asks me something, I will immediately tell. Else in front of 1,000 people I will say, I don't know. What is the problem in telling things straight? People will consider me ignorant and foolish. What else besides that will happen? By considering me as wise, how can they make me realize God? And by considering me as foolish, what barrier can they create in God realization? Whatever we know we will say. Whatever we don't know we will not say. And there are some things, which we know but we will not say. I have been through this and one occasion told the person that whatever question you are asking, answering that will not benefit you. So I will not respond. Don't be afraid of this that your secret will come out. Secret comes out, but firmness will remain intact. What will you do by keeping secrets? It's very surprising that Sri Vedvyasji Maharaj has written his birth topic many times in verses. What is his sentiment? That is why he is worthy of worship, respectable. By revealing the truth there is no harm. It is only a delusion that harm will be caused. From Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu pg 674-675 in Hindi by Swami Ramsukhdasji. Dependency. I will not desire anything. Dependency is not liked by anyone. A dependent man does not gain happiness even in his sleep. Paradhin sapanhan sukhu nahi. Manasa 1:102-3. In spite of being so, then too man desires happiness from others, desires respect from others, desires praise from others, desires to gain from others. This is so very astonishing. He who desires happiness from things, from individuals, from situations, from circumstances, from events, from various stages, he who desires rest and relaxation, who desires gain, he has to become dependent. He cannot be saved, whether he be Brahma or Indra or anyone for that matter. I say this to the extent that even Bhagwan cannot be saved. He who desires something from anyone, he will be definitely become dependent. He who desires Paramatma, he is not dependent. Because Paramatma is not other. This Jeev, embodied soul, is very much an ENG, part of, ray of consciousness, of Paramatma. But on desiring anything other than Paramatma we become dependent. Because besides Paramatma, nothing else is ours. It is only on having no desire for other things that desire for Paramatma is awakened. If desire for other things does not remain, then Paramatma will be realized. When there is desire for anything, that desire validates poverty. In other words, unnecessarily at no cost. Why are you buying poverty? If you desire to be happy, then do not desire happiness from anyone. We will gain something from another. Get rid of this thought completely. Nothing can be done by anyone. He who desires something from another, can he be saved from dependency? Can he become independent? Therefore make this point firm. I will not desire anything. He who sees himself as dependent on that which is created and later destroyed, perishables, how can he be happy? Because the self is not one that is created and destroyed, perishable. The self is imperishable. There is another very extraordinary point, that he who desires something from another is non-deserving. He is non-deserving at all. Just like one who desires respect from another, he is not deserving of respect. He that deserves respect does not desire respect. If you look into it, out of 18 Aksauni armies, in which all were Kshatriyas and Kshatriyas alone, and in spite of being a Kshatriya himself, Bhagwan Shri Krishna became a charioteer for one, and to guide his horse is such an ordinary task that can be mocked. Can driving the horses be anything of great work? Is one that commands any respect? But he was not ashamed of doing such work. He was deserving of respect, therefore he had no desire for respect. Now how is one to know that he is deserving of respect? In the opposite army, Bhishmaji is the first one to blow the conch, and in this army, Bhagwan Shri Krishna is the first to blow the conch. Because in the Kaurava army, the most important person was Bhishma, and in the Pandava army, the most important person was Shri Krishna. He who desires respect, he is a slave to respect, and is not deserving of respect at all. He who desires disciples, he is a slave to disciples and is not a guru at all. He who desires wealth, he is a slave to wealth, not a master of wealth at all. Therefore desires must be removed from the mind completely. For the embodied soul, Jivatma, it has been said Ishvar Enj Jiva Vinashi, Janamal Sahaj Sukrasi, Manasa 123-3. In other words, that blissful Brahma, its very own ray of consciousness, is this embodied soul, Jivatma. Both have been shown to have the same qualities. In spite of being so, the embodied soul desires base things. That is such a disgraceful thing. This soul has such an elevated post. It has so many rights. It has so much significance. But it desires base things. It gains happiness in acquiring these things. On having those things, it considers itself to be important and worthy of respect. In disrespectful things, it believes them to be respectful. Where has all the intelligence gone? In this, if you have any doubts, please ask. Questioner. There is no doubt, but the kings and great kings that are seen in front of us. Swamiji. That which is seen is perishable. Tell me, do you see anyone that is imperishable? Everything that is in front of you is perishable and perishable only. From Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu pg 714 in Hindi by Swami Ramsukhdasji. Happiness. How to attain happiness. That which appears to be favorable to the mind and senses is deemed as happiness, and that which appears to be unfavorable to the mind and senses is deemed as unhappiness. This is the definition and explanation of happiness and unhappiness that is commonly understood among most people. We think that by getting food, clothing, house, car, property, land, knowledge, medicines and other things cheaply and in abundance we will become happy. But think through this more deeply. Those that have these aforesaid things in great abundance, are they truly happy? Not in the least bit, because with the increase of material abundance, their longing for it grows, and this longing for material things is the root cause of unhappiness. In the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjun asked God about the root cause of sin leading to sorrow and unhappiness, God responded that it is desire, craving, longing, which is the main reason why one commits sins. The real reason for unhappiness is only desire, craving, longing. Wherever you see people who are unhappy, whether it be in prison, in hell, on anywhere, if you investigate the reason they are in their current state, you will conclude that either they had some desire and craving for something in the past, or in the present they are longing for something that they do not have. By desiring, one does not attain things. Even the world does not give to those who desire, rather they want to give forcefully, willingly and gladly to those who do not want anything. In this world, if a person gets everything to his liking and as his mind desires, then too, he will not be satisfied. Rather his longing for more will continue to increase. Jimmy Pradilla Blobadhikai. The reason for increased craving is that he is experiencing something lacking within himself, and as long as there lies this feeling within of some void, something missing, till that time how can there ever be happiness? Rather there will only be increasing unhappiness. If you think about this deeply, then you will realize that happiness is not due to acquiring things, rather by attaining anyone or anything. The unhappiness resulting from craving or longing for more further increases. In the universe, the amount of wealth, food, grain, gold, cattle, and women that exist, they all in all, cannot satisfy a single man, nor are they even capable of doing so. Realizing this, become quiet within. Quieten the thirst, the longing within for more. As desires can never be quietened through the enjoyment of pleasures and acquisition of things. Rather, just like when oil is added to a fire, the fire blazes with even greater intensity. Similarly, through the enjoyment of sense pleasures, the impressions that are left in the mind increases the desire for more sense enjoyment. All desire happiness, but the means to attain happiness are only understood and seen in worldly things by them. Therefore men are seen as attempting to acquire only these worldly things. With the number of people in this world, how can everyone get everything that they desire from the world? All have rights to the things in this world, and the total available resources are limited, and those desiring things are many in number. When even one person cannot be entirely satisfied, then how will every person get everything? Let us assume that everyone gets everything, then too, being happy with these things is an impossibility. The reason is that consciousness, self, soul, can only be satisfied by perfect consciousness, not by imperfect and limited inert things. Let us say that the happiness that is perceived through affinity with the perishable objects is itself seen as happiness. Then too, the inert things are constantly changing and perishing, whereas the self-embodied soul is eternal and imperishable. Therefore how can the union of the two remain eternally forever? Then how can one be happiness? What is the solution for happiness? The solution is the desire and aim of attaining divinity, supreme consciousness, and following righteousness and virtuousness. The reason is, when our behavior is righteous and fair, when we have no desire for anything beyond what is rightfully ours, then true happiness is possible. And this will come about when there is feeling of sacrifice and generosity within you. If we are able to give up those things that we think will give us happiness, and with a generous feeling if we desire to give to others and not take from others, then the things will automatically become plentiful, and the number of takers of those things will become fewer. At that time, the fruits of our generosity, the divine energy and more will work to its fullest power, whereby the things will increase in productivity and what we already have will be protected. Thus happiness will pervade everywhere. Due to inner feeling of sacrifice and generosity, as his mind and attention moves away from inert objects, it will engage in truth, divinity, and supreme consciousness, God. Thereafter, he naturally and automatically becomes inclined and engaged in truth and divinity. The main idea that he was holding at one time, that happiness comes from external objects, will be wiped out. His aim and understanding of truth, divinity, existence, consciousness, and blissfulness will be firmly established, and he will naturally become realized and blissful. On meeting, listening to discourses, or through physical touch of such a realized soul, other souls will also become joyful. What then to speak of, he who is extremely blissful himself? In reality, only he is happy, who gives up his selfishness, wanting only what is beneficial for others and in return wants to take nothing for himself. Some hold the opinion that by spreading the wealth out, taking from rich and distributing to the poor, all will become happy, but one must think about the kind of happiness that rich people really have. It is happiness mixed with sorrow that creates within a burning sensation day and night. They are never at peace. Therefore the happiness that one gets from wealth will be the kind that is mixed with sorrow. Also, when the wealth is taken away from him, he will undergo immense suffering. Thus, by putting others into difficulty, by taking away from others, how can the receiver be happy? Rather, wherever wealth goes, there will be nothing but suffering, lack of peace and distress. It is a principle that when the giver gives and only gives and the receiver has no desire to receive, then the giver will become generously philanthropic and experience joy. In this situation, the receiver too will experience joy in taking with an attitude of sacrifice. Therefore that nectar-filled gift wherever it goes will result in happiness, peace, and will create an atmosphere of joy and happiness. Thereafter all will be happy and all will have the inner feeling of generosity, because happiness is not in the objects, happiness is in the generosity of our heart. A poet has written, Kahagai Sintamiti, Manyavabiparava, Jisko Kachunichi, Soishahamsha. When desires are gone, all worries come to an end, and one becomes totally carefree. One who needs nothing sleeps peacefully without any care. Therefore one point must be clarified. It is not the absence of things that leads to unhappiness. It is the feeling of lacking or feeling of absence that causes unhappiness. Just like on an auspicious day, Ekadashi day, one person willingly fasts, while another person forcibly ends up fasting due to not having any money for food. Both did not have food, but one is gladly keeping the fast and feels happy, whereas the other person feels unhappy due to not having any food. Therefore it is the feeling of not having, absence, which creates the unhappiness. If the unhappiness came from actually not having those things, then the ascetics monks would be undergoing immense unhappiness, because they have nothing, no wife, no wealth, no clothes, no cars, no houses, nor have they accumulated any provisions for their future well-being. But in spite of not having any of these things, they are all happy. Many great kings and wealthy men come to them and resolve their inner problems and become happy. The reason for this is that even in the lack of material things, they experience the eternal feeling of divinity, existence, consciousness and bliss, Satchitanand, God, supreme consciousness, and become blissful within. Therefore, however much is lacking, man must not experience this lack, and instead must remain engaged in the essence of God. He who does not experience the lack of something or feeling of shortage or not having things, that one will not become entangled and feel sad in unfavorable times. Rather, he will see this as an opportunity to wash away his past sins and will remain ever happy seeing the presence of God's grace. Therefore, our aim must at all times be only towards God realization. In other words, remain ever indifferent to worldly objects and things, and completely disallow the longing for these things in the mind. At the same time, quickly one must become fully engaged in God, by doing spiritual practices such as chanting God's name at all times, doing prayers and reading holy books etc. with a selfless spirit. In Kali Yuga he who at all times, silently, with a selfless spirit, with attentiveness, with joy and respect, only chants and recites God's name, then he will surely attain God realization easily and quickly. From Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu in Hindi pg 520-522 by Swami Ramsukhdasji. How to attain happiness. That which appears to be favorable to the mind and senses is deemed as happiness, and that which appears to be unfavorable to the mind and senses is deemed as unhappiness. This is the definition and explanation of happiness and unhappiness that is commonly understood among most people. We think that by getting food, clothing, house, car, property, land, knowledge, medicines and other things cheaply and in abundance we will become happy. But think through this more deeply. Those that have these aforesaid things in great abundance, are they truly happy? Not in the least bit, because with the increase of material abundance, their longing for it grows, and this longing for material things is the root cause of unhappiness. In the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna asked God about the root cause of sin leading to sorrow and unhappiness, God responded that it is desire, craving, longing, which is the main reason why one commits sins. The real reason for unhappiness is only desire, craving, longing. Wherever you see people who are unhappy, whether it be in prison, in hell, on anywhere, if you investigate the reason they are in their current state, you will conclude that either they had some desire and craving for something in the past, or in the present they are longing for something that they do not have. By desiring, one does not attain things. Even the world does not give to those who desire, rather they want to give forcefully, willingly and gladly to those who do not want anything. In this world, if a person gets everything to his liking and as his mind desires, then too, he will not be satisfied. Rather his longing for more will continue to increase. Jimmy Pradilla Blobadhikai. The reason for increased craving is that he is experiencing something lacking within himself, and as long as there lies this feeling within of some void, something missing, till that time how can there ever be happiness? Rather there will only be increasing unhappiness. If you think about this deeply, then you will realize that happiness is not due to acquiring things, rather by attaining anyone or anything. The unhappiness resulting from craving or longing for more further increases. In the universe, the amount of wealth, food, grain, gold, cattle, and women that exist, they all in all, cannot satisfy a single man, nor are they even capable of doing so. Realizing this, become quiet within. Quieten the thirst, the longing within for more. As desires can never be quietened through the enjoyment of pleasures and acquisition of things. Rather, just like when oil is added to a fire, the fire blazes with even greater intensity. Similarly, through the enjoyment of sense pleasures, the impressions that are left in the mind increases the desire for more sense enjoyment. All desire happiness, but the means to attain happiness are only understood and seen in worldly things by them. Therefore men are seen as attempting to acquire only these worldly things. With the number of people in this world, how can everyone get everything that they desire from the world? All have rights to the things in this world, and the total available resources are limited, and those desiring things are many in number. When even one person cannot be entirely satisfied, then how will every person get everything? Let us assume that everyone gets everything, then too, being happy with these things is an impossibility. The reason is that consciousness, self, soul, can only be satisfied by perfect consciousness, not by imperfect and limited inert things. Let us say that the happiness that is perceived through affinity with the perishable objects is itself seen as happiness. Then too, the inert things are constantly changing and perishing, whereas the self-embodied soul is eternal and imperishable. Therefore how can the union of the two remain eternally forever? Then how can one be happiness? What is the solution for happiness? The solution is the desire and aim of attaining divinity, supreme consciousness, and following righteousness and virtuousness. The reason is, when our behavior is righteous and fair, when we have no desire for anything beyond what is rightfully ours, then true happiness is possible. And this will come about when there is feeling of sacrifice and generosity within you. If we are able to give up those things that we think will give us happiness, and with a generous feeling if we desire to give to others and not take from others, then the things will automatically become plentiful, and the number of takers of those things will become fewer. At that time, the fruits of our generosity, the divine energy and more will work to its fullest power, whereby the things will increase in productivity and what we already have will be protected. Thus happiness will pervade everywhere. Due to inner feeling of sacrifice and generosity, as his mind and attention moves away from inert objects, it will engage in truth, divinity, and supreme consciousness, God. Thereafter, he naturally and automatically becomes inclined and engaged in truth and divinity. The main idea that he was holding at one time, that happiness comes from external objects, will be wiped out. His aim and understanding of truth, divinity, existence, consciousness, and blissfulness will be firmly established, and he will naturally become realized and blissful. On meeting, listening to discourses, or through physical touch of such a realized soul, other souls will also become joyful. What then to speak of? He who is extremely blissful himself. In reality, only he is happy, who gives up his selfishness, wanting only what is beneficial for others, and in return wants to take nothing for himself. Some hold the opinion that by spreading the wealth out, taking from rich and distributing to the poor, all will become happy, but one must think about the kind of happiness that rich people really have. It is happiness mixed with sorrow that creates within a burning sensation day and night. They are never at peace. Therefore the happiness that one gets from wealth will be the kind that is mixed with sorrow. Also, when the wealth is taken away from him, he will undergo immense suffering. Thus, by putting others into difficulty, by taking away from others, how can the receiver be happy? Rather, wherever wealth goes, there will be nothing but suffering, lack of peace and distress. It is a principle that when the giver gives and only gives, and the receiver has no desire to receive, then the giver will become generously philanthropic and experience joy. In this situation, the receiver too will experience joy in taking with an attitude of sacrifice. Therefore that nectar-filled gift, wherever it goes, will result in happiness, peace, and will create an atmosphere of joy and happiness. Thereafter all will be happy, and all will have the inner feeling of generosity, because happiness is not in the objects, happiness is in the generosity of our heart. A poet has written, Kahagai sintamiti manyavabiparava, jisko kachunichi soishahamsha. When desires are gone, all worries come to an end, and one becomes totally carefree. One who needs nothing sleeps peacefully without any care. Therefore one point must be clarified. It is not the absence of things that leads to unhappiness. It is the feeling of lacking or feeling of absence that causes unhappiness. Just like on an auspicious day, Ekadashi day, one person willingly fasts, while another person forcibly ends up fasting due to not having any money for food. Both did not have food, but one is gladly keeping the fast and feels happy, whereas the other person feels unhappy due to not having any food. Therefore it is the feeling of not having, absence, which creates the unhappiness. If the unhappiness came from actually not having those things, then the ascetics monks would be undergoing immense unhappiness, because they have nothing, no wife, no wealth, no clothes, no cars, no houses, nor have they accumulated any provisions for their future well-being. But in spite of not having any of these things, they are all happy. Many great kings and wealthy men come to them and resolve their inner problems and become happy. The reason for this is that even in the lack of material things, they experience the eternal feeling of divinity, existence, consciousness and bliss, Satchitanand, God, supreme consciousness, and become blissful within. Therefore, however much is lacking, man must not experience this lack, and instead must remain engaged in the essence of God. He who does not experience the lack of something or feeling of shortage or not having things, that one will not become entangled and feel sad in unfavorable times. Rather, he will see this as an opportunity to wash away his past sins and will remain ever happy seeing the presence of God's grace. Therefore, our aim must at all times be only towards God realization. In other words, remain ever indifferent to worldly objects and things, and completely disallow the longing for these things in the mind. At the same time, quickly one must become fully engaged in God, by doing spiritual practices such as chanting God's name at all times, doing prayers and reading holy books etc., with a selfless spirit. In Kali Yuga, he who at all times, silently, with a selfless spirit, with attentiveness, with joy and respect, only chants and recites God's name, then he will surely attain God realization easily and quickly. From Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu in Hindi pg 520-522 by Swami Ramsukhdasji. Success of human life. Question: what does it mean by to know oneself? Answer: to know oneself means, just as you have worn clothes, then are you the clothes? No. Are you the skin? No. Are you the flesh? No. Are you blood? No. Are you blood vessels? No. Stomach is filled with mucus, excretion and all other impurities. Are you that? No. Are you intestines? No. This I am not. After accepting it as I am not this, then never consider it as I am, then you will know yourself. It is such an easy point. After spitting, do no lick. To know oneself, to not do anything for oneself, or to attain Paramatma. These three paths are very easy. Whatever path you want to take, it is your wish. Look, I will say one thing. This thing being said is a bit egotistical, but I am not saying it with an egotistical attitude. I have discovered and I am still discovering. Now what is that thing? That one attains liberation, salvation easily and immediately, according to the path prescribed by scriptures, after hearing, shravan, reflecting, manan, uninterrupted contemplation, nididhyasana, meditation, dhyan, state of absolute nothingness, savikalp and nirvikalp samadhi, and consciously dropping the mind, sabij samadhi, and rooting out all forms of duality, nirbij samadhi, then one attains realization, liberation, redemption. I have learned this scriptural prescription. I have given considerable thought to it as well, and have also done considerable amount of shravan, manan, nididhyasana, dhyan. But the point is only this much: I am not this. For such a simple thing, why to dig a mountain? I am saying a very simple and clear thing. But brothers and sisters don't trust me. Oh brother, I am not cheating you, I am not deceiving you, I am not being treacherous. I am only telling you that thing by which you realize the truth as immediately as possible. If you place barriers that how will it happen so quickly, it did not happen to Ziz that quickly, then how can it happen to me? I am telling you that try and see for yourself. If you are in no hurry, then take the longer route. I am not saying no or objecting to it. Do as I say. If it happens immediately, then you are benefited. Else the longer route is always open for you. What is the roadblock for you? If you do according to what I say, you will also get assistance for the longer path, or you will not need it. If you ask me, there would be no need to walk on the longer path. Look, this thing doesn't come easily. People are not aware of this. Even I myself didn't knew about it. Without any ability, knowledge, meditation, samadhi, etc., attaining that state where nothing is to be done, known and achieved, I was not aware of it. When I didn't know, I practiced various control disciplines, stayed in solitude, stopped meeting people. You will be surprised to know that I ate rotis, Indian bread, by weighing them. Vegetable and roti both were also weighed and eaten, to place limits on self, that I should not eat more than that. To sleep only these many hours, not to sleep more than that. To keep very few things with myself. Never to say to anyone that I don't have this thing, not to say this to anyone. I had lived in this manner for a number of years. I underwent many hardships. If I tell you these, you will be surprised. I knew that if a sadhu, ascetic, does not ask for anything, then respect for him will increase. He will be at peace with himself. If he asks someone for anything, he will definitely become a slave of that person. To say all this to anyone is not a good thing, but to make you believe I am saying that I have tried all those things. That is also one way, but a long way. Whatever spiritual practices, Saadhan, you have done, it won't go waste, but it will take lot of time. I have this ardent desire, that how to experience the truth as quickly as possible. Still I am in that discovery, wanting something for ourselves, that itself is death. We want medicine, we want clothes, we want a house, we want transportation, then all this is very lowly. When we have become a slave to things, then we have become super inferior, base. How could we have become elevated? I feel very bad for one who asks. It feels as if someone has thrown a shoe at me. The ascetics who stay with me, when they ask me that they want a particular thing, then this is a great insult. It is not the quality of an ascetic to ask. Rather, it is not even humanity. Man is for others. Even if daily roti, bread, is not available, so be it. You say that if we don't eat, we will die, then what, are we not going to die even after eating rotis? Whether you die eating or you die without eating, you have to definitely die. Then why die being a slave? Being contemptible, being oppressed, why should we die? Then die with dignity. By not asking for anything, results in immense peace. There is great joy. Life is a success. There is so much gain that there is no end to it. There is such immense benefit that one would not have experienced in any birth. I heard the story of a sadhu, ascetic. Some sadhus had gone to Badrinaran. There, one of the sadhus had pain in one of his fingers. Someone told him that since you are in pain, there is a hospital nearby where all are treated for free. You go there and get the dressing for this wound. The sadhu said that this pain I will bear, but the pain of asking someone to dress the wound will not be bearable. This is the example that came to my mind of true sacrifice. This point appeared so great and appealing to me that this is true asceticism, true humanity. Just like a dog that goes wandering around from place to place for morsel of food. Similarly, one who goes from place to place does not have true humanity. Asceticism, state of a sadhu, is out of the question. Swamiji Shri Ramsukhdasji Maharaj was a householder. He too used to say that if you want to engage in worship of God, first ask your mind, is there anything you want? Then say, no, I don't want anything. After saying so, then engage in worship and devotion of God. If a householder says these things, then what is there for a sadhu to want? Questioner: Maharajji, how will our work life go on? Swamiji: why do we want work to go on? We want to stop it. Questioner: if this body becomes diseased, then without medicines how will our work life continue? Swamiji: if it doesn't work, then what happens? It will die. Then those who take medicines don't die or what? Questioner: they will die suffering. Swamiji: do those that take medicine don't suffer or what? Taking medicines, in the end feeling defeated, feeling tired, they die, then they too die after going through suffering. The point is the same only. From within, having no want desire, then you will not experience the pain of being dependent. It will be joyful. It will be blissful. There is one man who has renounced everything and one who is poor. Both don't have any money. No shoes, no umbrella, no money. Both are in the same state, but are they the same from within? One who has renounced is very blissful from within. That which is not possible in one who is dependent is possible by one who has renounced. He who needs something, some medicines etc., is highly dependent. Questioner: but disease causes pain. Swamiji: during the hot months, when the sun is directly overhead, a person having lit fire on all four sides is sitting in the center, the austere one, does he not experience pain? The pain from austerities is out of his choice, whereas the pain resulting from disease is an austerity that God has showered upon us. Tell me, which austerity is better? Therefore, when faced with an illness, a disease, if one believes that it is by God's will that this austerity is happening, then there is joy even in pain and suffering. A person maintains a fast and does not eat any food, and another being poor does not get any food and therefore does not eat. Both remain hungry, but the one who had maintained a fast, he does not feel unhappy on not eating, rather he is joyful in not eating. From Saadhan Sudhaa Sindhu in Hindi, page 699-701 by Swami Ramsukhdasji. The three powers. Every human has three powers: power to do, power to know, and power to believe. No human being can say that, I don't do anything and I don't want to do anything, I don't know anything and I don't want to know anything, I don't believe in anything and I don't want to believe in anything. A human does also and also wants to do. He knows also and also wants to know. He believes also and also wants to believe. If yoga is added with these three, doing, knowing and believing, then all three will give redemption. If yoga is added in doing, then it becomes karma yoga. If yoga is added in knowing, then it becomes jnana yoga. If yoga is added in believing, then it becomes bhakti yoga. Yoga is possible only when equanimity comes. Samatvam yagachyate, Gita 2.48. Equanimity means to rise above opposites of attachment, aversion, happiness, sorrow, etc. There is one great astounding thing. There is no human who cannot do spiritual practice, cannot take the course to God. It is a different issue that he does not want to practice spirituality or walk towards God. If he is willing to do so, he can do it. The human birth is only for doing spiritual practice. This is the womb to do sadhan, spiritual disciplines, not karma. All other wombs are for bearing fruits of previous lives. A human being has a power to do, a tendency to do. After doing anything, he asks what to do. If this question arises, then it means that there is some urge to do. This urge will not slow down if we do for ourselves, but as a matter of fact it will increase. If anything is done for us, then it will only increase this force to do and achieve. By doing so I will acquire this. If these two things are present, then karma yoga will not happen. If everything is done for others, then this urge of doing will get light and eventually wipe out. By knowing this world, knowing will not be complete, i.e., everything will not be known. By studying, knowing will not be complete. Knowing will be complete only when we know ourselves. What am I? Until and unless this is known, till then no matter how much you know, how much you study, how much you read scriptures, how many languages you learn, how many art skills you learn, but knowing will still be incomplete. If you know yourself properly, then knowing will be complete. By believing in world and various worldly things, believing will never be complete. Believing will be complete by accepting God. God is a subject of faith. Because without accepting him we cannot know him, cannot see him, cannot learn about him. Thus, God is. If you accept it firmly, then believing will be complete. Believing and knowing, both should not be inharmonious. World was not present before and will not persist, and it is perishing every second. All of us have this knowledge. So faith in world is not in tandem with our knowledge and it is not everlasting. God was present before, will persist after and is right now present. This faith will always prevail. God is only a subject of faith, acceptance, not of argument. Only that thing is subject to argument, about which we know something and we don't know something. In case of God, we don't know anything, so he can only be believed and accepted. To believe in him or not, you have freedom. God, saints, Mahatmas, and scriptures, they can only be believed. There is some base, refuge of this entire universe. It is created by someone, sheltered by someone, nurtured by someone and will immerse in someone. In this manner, it has to be first believed and accepted, and then he will be visible. The mistake we make is that neither do we get firm in doing, nor in knowing, nor in believing. You should be so firm that even if God comes and tell you that you are wrong, then tell him that this is your mistake, not mine. You might have forgotten, but I haven't. Parvatiji said, as for myself, I must wed Sambhu or remain a virgin, no matter if I have to continue the struggle for 10 million lives. I will not disregard Narada's admonition even if Sambhu tells me 100 times to do so. Manas 181:3. This is acceptance. If we will meet, then we will only meet God. There is no need to meet anyone else. Neither do we require pleasures nor hoarding, but we only require God. If you accept this, then you will be greatly gratified. Nothing else needs to be done and known. Only by firmly accepting, you will attain, you will be complete and there will be no inadequacy. All work will be done by acceptance. If you know yourself properly, then knowing will reach perfection. By accurately and properly knowing self, knowing will be complete. But if you don't know self and learn about earth, heaven, hell, etc., and a lot many things, knowing will still be incomplete. Similarly, if you do for yourself, or even go to Brahma's, creator's abode, but doing will be remaining. If everything is done only for others, then doing will not be incomplete. Thus, we have to do for others, know ourself and believe in God. If any of these three is steadily and firmly applied, then all three will also reach perfection. Either do or know or believe. If there is more urge to do, then do. If there is curiosity to know more, then know. And if you have habitual and trusting, then believe. Be firm on any one thing, then doing, knowing and accepting, nothing will be left. Doing for others is karma yoga, knowing self is jnana yoga, and believing in God is bhakti yoga. If any of these three is completed, then all three will be completed. When doing, knowing, believing will not be left, then human life will be a success. The world is going. Lord himself says the whole of this universe is manifested by me as in manifest divinity. Gita 9.4. God is everywhere. Accept this fact. If he is everywhere, then he is here also. If he is present every time, then he is present now also. If he is in everything, then he is in me also. If he is of everyone, then he is mine also. Just accept this thing. On more thing. We can get only that thing which everyone can get. We cannot get a thing that is available to a few but not everyone. Worldly things are not equally available to everyone. But God is attainable equally by all. Earlier that Paramatma Tattva, God element, which big saints like Vedvyasji, Shukdevji, Sanakadik got, that element is also attainable today. In present times, whichever saint has got that element we will also attain. Because God is everywhere, every time, in everything and of everyone. He is very compassionate and almighty. Accepting him in this manner, chant his name and along with that also pray, O Lord, please appear. Like an infant gets desperate, vehicle, for his mother, similarly we should also get intensely desperate, vehicle, that O Lord, when will you appear? When will I get you? You are here, in me, but still I am suffering. I have heard from saints that whoever firmly accepts God's existence, that God is, then he attains God. But along with God's existence, if he also accepts world's existence, then this will cause delay in realization. Actually, world is not, it is getting wiped out. This fact should be given more importance. I say this a lot of times. Stressing on one topic means that accept it firmly. This world does not stay for 1 second. It is perishing every second. Those that are living, they all are going towards death. All are dying. Yesterday the amount of remaining life breath we had, today it is lesser. We have died 24 hours, i.e., we have come closer to death. Our 24-hour lifespan has been spent. In entire world, among all sorts of creatures, whether movable or immovable, stavarjangam, sentient, insentient, whatever thing is visible, they all are going into non-existence, and one day they will be non-existent. In reality, they all are going into non-existence every second. Suppose wood is burning, then ultimately all the wood will burn out. It will all become ashes, anger. Those ashes, anger, turn into coal, and that coal will turn into ashes. Similarly, the whole world is burning in fire of time. It is going into non-existence. World is not and God is. Whatever is not, you have accepted it as is. Because of this, that God which is not visible. If you can't see God, then can't you even see that this world is going into destruction? If you ponder over it a little, then you will clearly see that where has our childhood gone? Where has yesterday gone? Tell, they are gone. If yesterday has gone, then will today not pass by? Will the month not go? Will this life not go? This all is going. This is absolutely clear. Accept this firmly. If someone is not able to see, hear, or understand this, then speak out. Questioner, you said that by accepting God's existence, God is attained. He will appear. We are accepting this. Then where is the mistake in accepting it? Swamiji, mistake happens in learning, not accepting. There are two things. One is to remember and other is to accept. Like this is Govind Bhawan, this is Kolkata. If you accept this, then there will be no mistake. A mistake will only happen if you do not accept it as Govind Bhawan but as a government office. This is not Kolkata but Mumbai. This acceptance is a mistake. By not remembering, mistake is not committed. Like if someone is chanting God's name and forgets it, then this is a mistake of remembering, not accepting. From Saadhan, Sudhaa, Sindhu in Hindi, Pag 688689 by Swami Ramsukhdasji.